Oh, it says you're live. So, apologies for the shaky camera work. Oh, and I started with my phone in a different orientation than I really wanted to. On top of it all, yeah, so the freaking, geez, I'm drawing a blank. I'm out here doing landscaping, and I just was like, oh, talk about this knife for a second. Yeah, the neon has really got my panties in a bunch there, and I was like, well, what? Maybe I should be working with the bigger sibling. And so I've had this. This is just an initial impressions, shaky initial impressions. I've had this knife for 3 days now, and got it new from Recon One. I just decided it would be smart just to have the extra insurance, I guess, with buying new and buying from Recon One. But yeah, I've been really happy with the LMAX steel and the neon, and kind of really wanting to take that knife with me to work. And it's just such a nice little knife. I just decided it would be smarter somehow to go ahead and spend $695 on another knife. Of course that's smarter. Why wouldn't that be an educated thing to do? But man, I guess initial impressions right out of the gate was I had the Hati before, of course, so I knew exactly what size it would be. Of course, you look at the specs, you know what size it's going to be. And oh, there's limbs. A Chewini. And still, I was like, whoa, it's a big knife. And it really is. I have my beer and some of my other knives there in case I decide to do a little comparison with this initial impressions / rant. But you know what sucks too is with these damn live videos, like it actually looks pretty sweet on my screen right now that I'm looking at, but it's all fucked up whenever you look at it later down the road, and that's unfortunate. So it probably looks like shit for anyone who's watching this live. I'm gonna go ahead and go lefty here just for grins. So yeah, big knife obviously was my first initial impression, and second is, fuck, it's pretty damn lightweight. You know what I mean? I weighed this on my scale, and it is 4.66 ounces, exactly the exact same weight as my large Sabenza 21, 4.66. And those knives both seem pretty lightweight, especially considering the main, like, full-size knives that I carry would be an XM18 and a large Nkosi. And then, you know, military, paramilitary, that's what I consider like a full-size knife. And then, I don't know, I consider like a Delica or, you know, of course a small Sabenza, a small knife. I guess probably everybody does. But this is a little larger than a full-size knife, though. I mean, this thing is, I have a comparison with, again, shitty video quality with my with a Spyderco military, and you'll see like this actually has more cutting edge than a military does. But yeah. Then obviously the the fit and finish, just the thing is impeccable. You know, I mean, and this is clearly a common theme, you know, with Shirogorov. Nice. First comment, no big deal. 4 minutes and 38 seconds into it. But yeah, it's obviously a common theme with Shirogorovs is like, it's so spot on. You know, the shit is so spot on. I mean, for me, being, you know, a nitpicky, and obviously, if you're paying $695 for a fucking pocket knife, you're being nitpicky. And the only thing I don't like about this is just that I would prefer washers. I think simple is better, and personally, and my hottie, I mean, if you, as soon as you broke the detent, like, you had to try super hard and really give it 10 tries before you could not engage the lock, you know. So obviously, and we know this, everyone knows this, you can make washers that smooth. So yeah, that would be my only nitpick. Honestly, like, as far as like the inlaid 95 goes, shit, man. Like, I even when I bought my hottie, I surely would have picked this knife had it been, quote, the affordable Shirogorov like it is now. This is the affordable Shirogorov. It's a $700 knife, you know. Well, it's one of them. I guess they also still make F3s, and surely, I mean, don't call me Shirley, but clearly Shirogorov would be smart, I think, if they... Is it as heavy duty as a Hendra, Strider, or even Chris Reeve? Dude, okay, so Christopher Montrose is asking, is it a heavy duty? Man, I would absolutely put this up against any of those knives. You know, one thing about the Shirogorov, about a knife like this that is built to this specification, I've not taken this one apart. Quickly on that note, you'll notice if they haven't been fucked with, this is how and people are going to start doing it now, but I've never heard anybody mention this. This is the orientation of screws when they come from the factory. They get that fucker dialed in, you know, on the backside to the exact place where this is how they're oriented when they're tightened down. But yeah, so I have not taken this one apart, but suffice it to say, I have every bit of confidence this is built just like the other two Shirogorovs I have owned and one I still do own, where if you could imagine like a cylinder, just a cylinder of steel, like, and that's your pivot pin, and then a perfectly machined blade, you know, the hole of the blade, the cylinder, that pivot pin going into the hole of the blade, just this long pivot pin, the blade hanging off the side. You could, if it was really fit well, you could grab the tip of that blade and like try to get blade play out of it. And if it was fit super, super well, that alone would hold it and take a lot of the stress off of what would be like flexing in the handle scales and any play that's there. That, like, you assume, oh, that's what, you know, multi-row bearings or big washers, you know, negate. But man, like, if you do everything as tight as this fucker is, and like Shirogorovs are, just like that example I just explained, you get it. I mean, it's a well-made fucking knife, man. Like, even though it's single row bearings, and you're like, oh, what if you flex it? My dog's drinking my beer. Lambs. What if you flexed it over and one of those, you know, single row bearings like caused like a pressure point, and these are the things I think of anyway, and then it dimples the titanium and now the action's all fucked up and blah, blah, blah. That becomes negated when you build something so fucking well, you know. So yeah, long story short, from that question, absolutely, I would say this is definitely a, quote, hard use knife. Telltale signs of shit like that for me is what makes a hard use knife. Like, one thing that's important is that, for me, that any screws that are integral to keeping the two handle scales together, so the pivot's one of those, and, you know, usually there's a couple screws or one or two in case of Chris Reeve knives, and, you know, this knife here, it's one. But anytime that's the case, that's going to make the knife stronger if it goes into a pin on the other side, rather than two screws going into a standoff. Especially when it's to such high tolerances like this. yeah. So this is supposed to be initial impressions, so I guess I'll just kind of get back to I had planned on kind of loosely going in like in a order of my personal initial impressions. I'm just going to take a drink of my Pinche Cerveza. You can see I'm not a fucking landscaper because I got this all fucked up, but this isn't totally attached actually. I still have to monkey with this a little bit. I'll show you the cool part just so I don't seem like a complete fucking hack. Not the bikes, but yeah, I just finished there's lambs, all this stuff, so I kind of did the little notching and all that. This is my backyard, so it takes a while for the cobbler to fuck with his own shoes. That's right, buddy. Somebody says you're still alive. Where is he now? Yeah, living in I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it's supposed to be initial impressions in order. Thickness of the handle scales, certainly it was one of my initial impressions. And you're thinking, oh, is that good or is that bad? That's a good thing for me. I have extra large hands and I really like this handle. The Hati, one of the things that kind of made the Hati like, not the best was the fact that the handle scales, whoa, hey, coming in hot, were chamfered like the old bow and stern are on this bad boy, all the way around. And this guy, at least to me, where it counts, is rounded, and that's helpful. So if you're actually gonna, get this thing in a full-on hammer grip and really try to, carve into something, I have yet to do that, but I feel pretty good about it. Again, this is initial impressions, so. But you guys, feel free to roast any comments I'm saying or like whatever it is, like ask away. The whole point of doing this live, actually, to be quite honest, the whole point of doing this live is I don't have to do a fucking thing other than talk for a minute and then stop filming. So that it's because of laziness is why this is live. But it's also potentially handy in case somebody was to ask a question. Everything is well covered with this knife. Epic Snuggle Bunny, I want to say, has a very informative video. Lots of way better video footage than this is going to end up being. And good information over like all the aesthetics and, talking about fit and finish and all this kind of thing. This is just kind of initial impressions for me. The micarta is a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. See if I can kind of catch that. But it doesn't really have any texture at all, other than just the fact that it has a micro texturing, just because it's micarta. But it is smooth. I would call this smooth for sure, which doesn't alter anything for me. I think it'd be cool if this was a Pac-Man screw. That's definitely an initial impression. Not that that's a big deal, but I guess they have to do little things to make their custom division or whatever totally worth the money, and putting a Pac-Man screw there has got to be worth a couple more $100 buckaroos. What else? Yeah, I guess that's about it, man. Honestly, I just, sitting here in the backyard, just cracked a beer, wrapping up a long day of jacking with this crap, and palabra tu madre. I'll try to pull something together a little more informative, using this thing a little bit more. I to be honest, I don't think I've cut a damn thing with this yet. This is 3 full days that I've had it now. Can't think of anything I've done with it. I might have opened some mail with it, but yeah, haven't really needed to. I used an M390 fixed blade for this just because why wouldn't you do that in this case? But yeah, all right, guys.